Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. The following video series is a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Also included are His in-depth commentaries known as purports. These purports unpack the often complex and symbolic language of the text, make it understandable to a wider audience. The Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavata Purana, is considered the most important of sacred scriptures. Composed around 5,000 years ago, it is considered the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature and the original commentary on the Vedanta-sutra. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva. He is also the compiler of the Vedas, classified as a Purana, a vast genre of ancient stories and knowledge encompassing history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam includes stories of avatars, creation narratives, lives of saints and sages, philosophy discourses, and practical guidance for spiritual life. Divided into 12 cantos with over 18,000 verses covering 10 subject matters. 1. The elemental creation. 2. The secondary creation. 3. The planetary systems. 4. Protection by the Lord. 5. The creative impetus. 6. Manvatars. 7. The science of God. 8. The dissolution. 9. Liberation. And 10. The supreme shelter. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, chapter 25, text 143 and 144, Lord Chaitanya, speaking to Prakrisananda Saraswati, tells him. Translation. The meaning of the Vedanta-sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Bhagavad Gayatri is also there and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Purana. It was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. Canto 10, chapters 31 through 37. Chapter 31. The Gopis' Songs of Separation. This chapter describes how the Gopis, overwhelmed by separation from Krishna, sat on the Yamuna's bank praying and singing His glories. Because the Gopis had dedicated their minds and their very lives to Krishna, they were beside themselves with transcendental pain of separation. But their crying, which appears like evidence of misery, actually shows their exalted state of transcendental bliss. Each Gopi expressed her devotion in her own ecstatic way, recalling Krishna's smile, loving glances, boyhood pastimes, and tender care of the cows, which both tormented and enchanted them. Even a single moment apart from him felt like an entire age, and every brief interruption of his vision caused great pain. Their feelings, though outwardly intense, were pure expressions of love, aimed at satisfying Krishna, free from any material lust. A verse from chapter 31 is text 9. Tava katam ritapta jivanam kavibir ijitam kamasapaham shravana mangalam srimad attatam bhuvi grinati ye buritatyana. Translation. The nectar of your word and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly, those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. Chapter 32, The Reunion. The chapter describes how Lord Sri Krishna reappeared to the Gopis who had been anguished by separation and consoled them. Krishna manifested himself wearing yellow garments and a flower garland, and the Gopis served him in various loving ways, holding his hands, placing his arm on their shoulders, and accepting remnants of betel nut. Krishna then went to the Yamuna bank with the Gopis, who made a seat for him and enjoyed intimate pastimes. Still concerned about his earlier disappearance, the Gopis were reassured when Krishna explained that he had acted under the exclusive influence of their loving devotion and would remain forever indebted to them, highlighting the reciprocal ecstasy of pure devotional love. A verse from chapter 32 is text 22. Naparayeham nirivadya samudhyam svasaru krityam vibhuhaya saptiva yamabhajanduraja geha srikala sambriksha tadva pratiyatu sadhuda. Translation. I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service, even within a lifetime of Brahma. Your connection to me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties, which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. Chapter 33, The Rasa Dance. This chapter describes Sri Krishna's Rasa Leela, the transcendental dance he performed with the Gopis along the Yamuna. Expert in the moods of love, Krishna expanded himself into multiple forms, allowing each Gopi to feel he was dancing exclusively with her. The Gopis, intoxicated with devotion, sang, danced, and expressed amorous gestures to satisfy Krishna's senses. Filling the forest with their sweet voices, some kissed his fragrant arms, others embraced him. Though Krishna appears to be enjoying these interactions, he is the supreme absolute truth and the only true enjoyer, expanded himself to increase his personal pastimes. His Leela astonished all beings from Brahma to grass, demonstrating his inconceivable opulences. Sri Sukadeva Goswami explains to Maharaj Pariksit that, unlike ordinary beings, Krishna's pastimes are never tainted, and anyone attempting to imitate them will suffer misfortune. Hearing of these activities destroys material desires and awakens one's natural inclination for loving service to the Supreme Lord. A verse from chapter 33 is text 39. Vikriditam braja vibhuhir idam chavisho shradham dito nishrutad atsa varna yedya bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya karman Ridrogam asva pahi not yacharena dira. Translation. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young Gopis in Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. Chapter 34. Nanda Maharaj saved and Sankhacuda slain. This chapter describes how Lord Krishna saved his father Nanda from the clutches of a serpent and delivered a Vidyadhara named Sudarsan from the curse of the Angirasa sages. While Nanda Maharaj and the cowherds were resting in Ambikavrava after worshipping Lord Shiva, a hungry serpent attacked Nanda and began swallowing him. Terrified, Nanda called to Krishna, who touched the serpent with his lotus foot. The serpent immediately regained his original demigod form and explained that he had been cursed by sages. He offered respects to Krishna and returned to his abode. Later, during the Dola Purnima festival, Krishna and Balaram played with the Gopis, who sang their glories. At that time, Sankhacuda, a servant of Kubera, tried to abduct the Gopis, but Krishna and Balaram swiftly intervened. Terrified, Sankhacuda fled, and Krishna struck him, removing his jewel and head, which he then presented to Balaram. A verse from chapter 34 is text 14. Sapo menugrahayava kritastahi karunat mavi yadhaham loka guruna parashrato hatastuva. Translation. It was actually for my benefit that those merciful sages cursed me, since now I have been touched by the foot of the Supreme Spiritual Master of all the worlds, and have thus been relieved of all inauspiciousness. Chapter 35. The Gopis sing of Krishna as he wanders in the forest. This chapter contains the songs of the Gopis who express their feelings of separation from Krishna when he goes to the forest during the day. In their hearts, his names, forms, qualities, and pastimes manifest, inspiring them to sing of his enchanted activities. They describe how his beauty, threefold bending posture, and flute playing captivates everyone, from the siddhas wives flying in the sky with their husbands, to the bulls, cows, rivers, and even trees and creepers, causing ecstasy throughout nature. The Gopis marvel at how Krishna's forest attire and flute stir birds, clouds, and even great demigods like Brahma, Shiva, and Indra. And just as we Gopis are anxious to offer everything we have to Krishna, so the wives of the black deer follow him about, imitating us. As he returns to Vraja, Krishna's companions chant his glories, and the demigods come to worship his lotus feet. Through these songs, the Gopis relieve their anguish and celebrate the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. A verse from chapter 35 is text 1. Sri Sukha Uvacha Gopya Krishna Vanamyate Tam Anudruta Chetasa Krishna Lila Pragayanto Niryurdukena Vasaran. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, whenever Krishna went to the forest, the minds of the Gopis would run after him, and thus the young girls sadly spent their days singing of his pastimes. Chapter 36. The slaying of Arisya, the bull demon. This chapter describes how Krishna killed Arisya, and how Kamsa reacted when he learned from Nanda that Krishna and Balaram were the sons of Vasudeva. Arisya, taking the form of a ferocious bull, attacked the cowherd village. Krishna bravely seized the demon by the horns, threw him about repeatedly, and finally killed him, ending his threat. The villagers and demigods honored Krishna and Balaram for their valor. Shortly afterward, Narada Muni visited Kamsa and revealed that Krishna and Balaram were not Nanda's sons but Vasudeva's, and that Kamsa's death was destined at their hands. Filled with fear and anger, Kamsa immediately plotted to destroy them. He instructed the demons Charnura and Mustika to kill the brothers in a wrestling match, and persuaded Akura to go to Vraja to bring Krishna and Balaram to Mathura, setting the stage for future confrontation. A verse from chapter 36 is text 8. Ityaspotayato vishtam tala sabdena kopayan sakyur amse bujabogam prasarya vasito hari. Translation. Having spoken these words, the infallible Lord Hari slapped his arms with his palms, further angering Arisya with a loud sound. The Lord then casually threw his mighty serpentine arm over the shoulder of a friend and stood facing the demon. Chapter 37. The killing of the demons Kesi and Vyoma. This chapter describes the killing of the horse demon Kesi, Narada's glorification of Lord Krishna's future pastimes, and Krishna killing Vyomasura. On Kamsa's orders, Kesi, the horse demon, arrived in Vraja, terrifying the villagers. Krishna confronted him, first throwing him long distances, and then expanded his arm into the demon's mouth, choking him until he died. The demigods showered flowers and glorified Krishna, who remained calm and humble. Soon after, Narada Muni approached Krishna, offering prayers and glorifying his future pastimes, then departed. Later, while playing hide-and-seek with the cowherd boys, Vyomasura, sent by Kamsa, disguised himself and abducted the boys, hiding them in a cave. Krishna quickly pursued him, overpowered him, and killed him, rescuing the cowherd boys. These pastimes demonstrate Krishna's supreme power, protection of his devotees, and humility, even while performing extraordinary feats. A verse from chapter 37 is text 22. Suganam ganam svasamstaya samapta sarvatam amoga vichikam swatejasa nitya nirvitamaya guna pravaham bhagavatam nimahi. Translation. Let us approach you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for shelter. You are full of perfectly pure spiritual awareness and are always situated in your original identity. Since your will is never thwarted, you have already achieved all possible desirable things, and by the power of your spiritual energy, you remain eternally aloof from the flow of the qualities of illusion. That's the end of chapters 31 through 37.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.